Welcome, everybody, and it's really great to have you all here. So we're going to be talking a little bit about high-throughput DeFi and what's enabled by Chainlink Data Streams. All of you here are users or upcoming users of Chainlink Data Streams, so I'd very much like to dive a little bit into what does the market look like for derivatives. Now, last year, January to about March, we saw a lot of growth in the volumes in perp dexes compared to centralized exchanges. And that kind of flattened off around April, May. It's sort of hovered around 3 to 4% market share for dexes compared to centralized exchanges. And I'm very curious why that is. Why did we see that growth, and why did it stall right there? I'd very much like to get all your perspectives on this, and maybe we start with you, Pedro.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me today. Very good question. I think since we saw the downfall of many relevant centralized exchanges, there's been a crisis on trust on centralized parties when you're handling large amounts of funds, or you want to trade, or you want to use CeFi products. And DeFi has started to see a strong traction with mainly decentralized exchanges for spot derivatives in general, like perps, that had a very strong results on chain. But we still have a couple problems that as an ecosystem we need to solve, and things have started to improve recently, but those key items have been quite challenging to onboard not only expert users or users that have are more advanced or more refined, that are used to trade with more complex setups, but also to onboard regular daily users that have the facility of using, for example, Binance, OKX, all of the major centralized exchanges. And one of those things that is actually being solved elegantly recently with data streams and the expansion to a wide range of data sources is to actually have access to a reliant and actually stable data source. And with this, you don't have these issues of facing large slippages when trading on chain, or you want to trade a specific asset that maybe is only present on a centralized exchange. But with DeFi, we have a strong advantage of being trustless, allowing users to do their own self-custody. But we need more. We need at least to achieve feature parity with centralized exchanges. And by being able to trade, let's say, for example, the meme coin that has been hyped for the last 2 weeks, that is already live on centralized exchanges, but also in a decentralized venue, is really powerful when you are looking to serve these same users of this, and actually gain market share from centralized exchanges. And also other issues like being able to trade with easily logging into your exchange account without having to manage private keys, wallets. Those complicated things is one item that is very important to manage. And I think we're starting as a community to get there to the feature parity with centralized exchanges to start actually earning this market share. And I think this is where the next wave of adoption will come.
And what about you, Charles?
Yeah, I think I'm Charles from KiloEx. Yeah, I think as trading on perpetual DEX, I think maybe trading on CEX is a little bit easy for users, especially for the new guys. Yeah, and I think for the old Web3 project are working on to try to simplify the process from fiat to Web3. Yeah, so I think for the perpetual DEX, we should try our best to try to maybe achieving the zero gas fee. Also try to simplify and the process, and also maybe try to get much faster trading speed. Yeah, I think that's what KiloEx is doing. Yeah,
makes sense. And you, Rachel?
Sure. Thank you all for having me, Rachel Lim from SynFutures. I think before we answer the questions on why it grows and then stored right now, the questions that we will ask is why would people come to PropDex? Maybe let me ask the audience questions. Who here has been using DEX as your primary trading venue? Hands up, please. Yeah, a couple few, right? But we could see that like a centralized exchange is still like gaining much larger share due to the seamless trading experience, the high throughput, and a very good liquidity. And from our experience for the past 2 or 3 years on like attracting users and doing acquisitions, I think like there are 3 major reasons why people come to a Proof DEX. Number 1, elephant in the room, farming. They came here for the airdrops. That's also like one of the reasons, right? And secondly, and sort of like more organically, is the arbitrage opportunity that they have with Proof DEX as the offshore market and centralized exchange as the onshore market. And thirdly, definitely, as my panelists been speaking, like the openness and the unique assets and pairs that users are able to trade on a decentralized venue. So I think like all 3 major factors has been contributing to the growth of Proof DEX in the early days of this year. But with the market cooling down a little bit, we could see that like yes, lots of tokens are not performing well, so the farming expectations been like dropping, and then like the market's been quite boring for the past few weeks, except for like I think last week, right? I think Bitcoin has been moving in a very narrow range for consecutive about 30, 40 weeks for some time, which narrowed the opportunity for arbitrage. So, but what I see from this market environment is, in fact, the silver linings. Even without lots of farming opportunity, without lots of arbitrage opportunity, there are still so many people and so many volume happening on Proof DEX. I believe that with the advance of technologies, user experience, and as well as the pickup of market sentiments, the shares of Proof DEX versus centralized exchange is deemed to raise again. Yeah.
And Yule?
Yeah, well, I need to clap for Rachel. So I absolutely 100% agree with the points she just said. So that's actually what I want to say. But I can add something more. Maybe it's about the safety, right? So what kind of Proof DEX can provide better than a centralized one? So example farming is security reasons, right?
Yeah.
But since the FTX collapse, it has been about 2 years, there is no major centralized exchange collapse. So I think that may be one of the most important reasons that people forget the FTX lesson. And it seems that more and more traders, they're not very care about the safety reasons. They are more care about the liquidity or incentive or just their they just prefer, or they have some very familiar customer manager working like Binance or Bybit. Yeah. So I think that's I cannot give you a solution how to solve that. It's just seems like the centralized exchange becomes safer now, but who knows? So I think, for our Proof DEX, we will always focus on the safety. So that's our our first priority, and the most important service that we can do it better than a centralized one.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's actually dive a little bit into safety, because I think as well that FTX was famous for onboarding a lot of retail users and driving a lot of Proof DEX volume. And indeed, when FTX failed, you saw like a very large increase in Proof DEXs. So how are you guys all thinking about safety and security? And I think maybe we can start that with you, Rachel.
Sure. As a Proof DEX, which is in the field of financial services, we do believe that security and safety is the top 1 considerations of all designs. And we in fact break it into 2 parts. One is the smart contract code security, And secondly is the financial logics security. So I mean, for us, we have sort of like the traditional finance background and understand how these would jeopardize the future growth and uses. So for smart contract wise, we've been like sort of like doing lots of testings and ask for the tier 1 auditor like QuantStem and others for auditing, and even just the testing wise, it took us half a year before a version was launched. For financial logic wise, because the team has experience in designing all those trading and risk management system for large banks, trading systems, and large fintech companies, and we introduced lots of like best practice in traditional finance into DeFi, and we are also working with some of the like financial risk manager like Zaros Labs and other institutes to prevent sort of like manipulations of price and also potential attack. The like partnership with Chainlink also like increase and give us more confidence on the price oracle as well. As you know, that oracle is essential in perp DEX trading because it determines whether a user will be liquidated or not, determine what is the price to be settled. We will be like working relentlessly to improve the safety and security. Yeah.
Makes sense. And you, Charles?
Okay. Yeah. Also, we just announced our partnership with Chainlink. Yeah, we're upgrading to the Chainlink Data Streams, and there's no doubt that security is the first priority for private DEX, and also KiloEx is fully on-chain and no custody. And I used to work at a centralized exchange, and I think Purple DEX is much more stable than centralized exchange, and also transparent, and also much more stable. Yeah. So I think we should try to give the users about the decentralized, transparent, and security, and also the trading experience, like the speed, with same as the centralized exchange. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And how about you, Pedro, more as the CTO of a project?
I believe when we're speaking about DeFi security, especially when you are dealing with derivatives exchange, which is a complex product that involves multiple actors and layers of software, we essentially have sort of 3 security layers, which I would categorize as, and of course, security is paramount in order to offer an experience to users, that is superior to centralized exchanges or centralized finance services. We have the web security layer, the smart contract or blockchain security layer, and the actual financial security layer. And all of these 3 components nowadays are much, as a developer, you're much more well-served in 2024 compared to 2021, 2022, when back then we didn't have as many tools as we have today. So, for example, I'll talk about Zaros, which is my project and how we've been handling these 3 different items. In the financial layer, we are using Chainlink Data Streams, of course. That's why we're here. And with Chainlink's track record of building secure and actual protocol securing trillions of dollars of value, it just made a ton of sense for us to use the solution for ourselves. We also work with a team of specialists to ensure that our risk engine is always accurate and that we manage risk parameters appropriately, following the best practices, and just like how big protocols perform in different areas of DeFi, like lending, AMMs, and others. In the blockchain security side of things, and as we're dealing with smart contract code, it's fundamental that we perform all of the best practices in order to ensure that your protocol, since it should be at least trustless, decentralized, and self-custodial, it needs to be taken very seriously, as if a mistake happens, sometimes you can't revert just like in a web server in a centralized environment. So fuzz testing, I know it's basic, but all of your smart contracts should be severely fuzz tested with stateless, stateful fuzzing techniques, environment testing, and going through the entire security audit processes. We are very glad to work with Cyphering, which is also a Chainlink partner that has been auditing us. And we also did a couple competitive audit contests, which is really good as you get coverage from like dozens or sometimes even hundreds of auditors reviewing your code, looking for bugs, and starving to find the most complex issues. It's super helpful to secure the blockchain security layer. And then in the web layer, which is also very important, and sometimes I think maybe not as much in the derivatives space, but in the DeFi space, sometimes it's a bit underwhelmed. So it's fundamental that your web client, so either a web front end or an app or whatever client is consuming your smart contracts, your APIs, it needs to be properly secured. And like you need to provide a good UX, but you must not sacrifice security for that. So it's important to implement these best practices and work with, like sometimes something that works for us is to actually work with Web 2 experts, since they already have the familiarity of securing, like these Web 2 services in different areas. It can help you a lot as a DeFi project to get this expertise and provide a secure experience to your users. Like if you sacrifice one of these layers, you lose it all. So it must be taken very seriously. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense what we are building, right?
For sure. So once the security is properly set up, it's time to build a number of features. And I have to say the perpdex landscape is actually very competitive. Like there's actually a lot of very good perpdexes out there, including 4 that are on stage here. So I'm going to ask a slightly uncomfortable question. Where is the competition? Like, is it all just getting as much volume, or are there particular features that you can offer? Like, what differentiates a perpdex from a different perpdex? And maybe we can start here with Yule.
Well, that's a very good question. I have to say that most of the perpdex looks pretty similar. And well, if you ask me, the first thing maybe the farming, I think. So it's not only about the platform token, but also from the ecosystem part. Like if you build, for example, on Blast, there will be Blast points. If you build a base, well, definitely there is no base token. But it seems that the incentive program and the design is first the most important part. And the second differential may be from the liquidity model. So there are quite a few totally different liquidity models, like AMM-based or pool-based, or order book-based. And also some order book are like matching off-chain, some are on-chain. So they're pretty different. And they generate different level of liquidity. Some are good at the long tail assets, some are good at the mainstream assets, and that also determines the fee rate structure. So I think the differentiation in perpdex is different from what's in the spot DEX. In spot DEX, you must list new assets like the meme coins to bring profit for your users. But in perpdex, it's more like to attract senior traders. The senior traders, the whales, they just contribute more than 90% of the volume. So the service you provide them makes you different. So someone may provide the lowest trading fee, some may provide like extra credit, and some may provide their own private custom manager. So that's all the different strategies. And also the truth of ecosystem is very important. So I think the perpdex cannot grow with itself. So most perpdex grow with the ecosystem. So people won't go to some place just for the perpdex itself. They go there for the ecosystem reward. So that's why there are different perpdex leading a different ecosystem.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, great. Completely with Lei on the very good high-level summary. The liquidity model, the ecosystems that you go to, and the on-chain, off-chain part that you choose. For us, SynFutures, we were fortunate to be a top 3 perpdex consistently. So what we differentiate ourselves is majorly in 2 parts. Number 1, we're the first in the market to introduce this permissionless listing model. So anyone could come over here and using one single token to list any perpdex in 30 seconds. So with that, we work with lots of ecosystem partners like Lido, Degens, who love to increase their use case and supply liquidity to us, and sort of like offer rewards to users by staking or trading, right? So, and the second innovations and differentiation factor that we bring to the industry is that we are until today the only prop DEX that's able to offer a fully on-chain order book. Fully on-chain matching order books. So none of our services, none of the order books are our centralized servers. And that feature really gives us an edge on offering professional services to the whales, as you mentioned, Sally. And they're funds. They were able to trade with the maximum capital efficiencies. And we had a debate on whether put part of the matching engine off-chain or build our own chain in order to increase the experience, but there is trade-off. And the good part about our current model is that it's fully on-chain, so we could go anywhere to any chain and achieve the maximum capital efficiency while at the same time work with the whole ecosystem's partners to offer unique access to our users. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think I have two insights. Firstly, I think just as other guys said, the liquidity, the ecosystem, I think KiloEx and other providers are working on that. Also, KiloEx used peer-to-pool, so there will be Zaros Labs on our BTC and ETH trading. And second, also, we can stake a lot of LST. I think staking is a very popular topic at current stage, right? And so you can stake Doggy, BNB, FDUSD, Sol BTC, yeah, in KiloEx, yeah. And also another insight is that we can think about the centralized exchange. So it may be OKX, Bybit, BitGet. This type of exchange, I think they are like a supermarket, so you can get anything from them. But as a DeFi protocol, maybe in the future, we can provide a lot of things in our products. Yeah, so I think also another important part, I think, is channel. Yeah, so KiloEx are working with over 1,000 influencers all over the world. Yeah, so I think we have a very user base, and the trading experience is very important for KiloEx. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, on Zaros, so we started focusing mainly on perpetuals pairs as our initial product. And right now we've settled over 160K trades on Arbitrum Sepolia using Chainlink Data Streams. We also use Chainlink automation to perform the entire streams trade flow, which is quite useful. And since it started to be validated, powering perps using our novel market making engine, we recently started to expand our offering of products to start potentially covering new types of derivatives to come on-chain so that users may have the same experience that they have when going to a centralized exchange. Like, you don't go to Binance, for example, just to trade perps or just to trade spot or just to earn yield using some financial product, but you actually have all of this wide range of products into the same space. And that's the same vision that we are looking for in DeFi, to turn Zaros into sort of like an app store or iOS for this wide range of derivative products. And all of them powered by the market making engine that we've been building for the last 2 years or so. And we've abstracted away features and the implementation enough so that any sort of prediction markets, options trading, even gaming with economic features can be built on top of Zaros. And in our case, as a startup, you need to focus in something to start with. And perps had a lot already of a strong traction on chain, and that's the main reason that we decided to build on perps. But now that things are working, we finally got to a place where users are actively interacting with our product. It's insane. I always bother Raul in Telegram, hey man, let's launch more markets, let's scale the protocol. And we got to a point where now we are happy, especially with the latest updates that he brought yesterday, that we are able to scale to more markets. So actually become the on-chain Binance. That's the vision we're looking for. And yeah, very happy to be working on this.
Awesome. Thanks, Pedro. You don't bother me on Telegram, don't worry. Something you said, Rachel, kind of prompted a thought. We have time for about one more question, so I'm going to put it out there and let somebody jump on it. You mentioned you guys were thinking about, are we going to build our own L2 to be more performant, or are we going to deploy it to a particular chain? And I've been thinking about that for a bit because you've seen this move towards app chains and like L2 specific, or at least app specific L2s. What prompted that question with you guys, and how did you make that decision?
Yeah, we had a major debate 1 year ago on whether we should go the other path, because obviously proof DEX have much higher requirement on infrastructure, right? The speed, the throughputs, everything, because it's more complicated. But at last, we decided to put on lots of effort into building this fully on-chain product, given that number one, we know that today's liquidity is fragmented. By building your own chain or putting the service off-chain, it's like direct compete with centralized exchange, right? So if you are having your own proof DEX built on your own chains, you are not really doing an app, you are doing an infrastructure. You have to really go and acquire users to be able and feel confident to put their tokens and the cash on your sort of like centralized services. And this is a different business model to go. And then we know that our strength is building the like proof DEX with our like models, with our capabilities, etc. And the second part is that there is a huge competitions in the infrastructure-wise, layer 1, layer 2, right? And we know that infrastructure can naturally improve only with real user demand. So it's not that you would build something that build a highway and saying that, hey, I build a highway out of nowhere and everybody comes. It's more the sort of like the path to success is more about like generate real use case and real demand, and the infrastructures will be improved. I think one very easy case to draw from is the e-commerce years, right? So people are complaining about the sort of delivery time at that time. It's so long, but you can't just build the whole logistics before you have the real demand for e-commerce. But with the like increasing demand to shop online, the sort of logistics would naturally improve, and that's what we take. And of course, there's another minor reasons that is that our team are the true believer in DeFi. I mean, to be honest, I mean like we study a lot on blockchains, and we understand the shortfalls of TradFi and fintech, and we do believe that it's going to take flight. And it's not interesting to build start from a 4-tier like centralized exchange. We would love to aim for the futures, and our vision is really to build the decentralized finance systems, and that's the path that we choose, and that's the path that we've taken. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And please please join me in thanking the panelists for all their insights today. It's been super helpful and very insightful.
Thank you.